Facebook's taking a moment, as is YouTube. Just give it a moment. All right, we are live. It is all yours.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Oakland Poetry Slam's Black Artist Showcase and Fundraiser. I am your host for the night, Reggie, and we have a beautiful lineup of amazing Black artists, as well as our feature for the night, Cece Jordan. But before we begin, I do have a few community agreements that we need to make first. First is for the audience, you sitting at home. First and foremost, like, share, subscribe to all of our channels, no matter what platform you're on, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Um, yeah, you want to stay connected because we do events like this like every week. So you should definitely keep in contact and learn about our other events. The second thing y'all need to do is show love in the comment section for every single person who comes up to this showcase tonight. It's kind of hard to feel connected when we're all on Zoom and we're all on like these different platforms and live streaming and everything. But I know that I go back and read the comments that people leave, the beautiful comments that people leave for all of these artists. And that makes me feel like, we're doing something community engagement. So, it definitely warms the heart to see how much y'all love each and every poet that comes up here. And then the final thing is this is a fundraiser. We are fundraising for an amazing organization today. What organization, do you ask? I am glad you did. We are fundraising for RichOak Events. Who is RichOak Events? Oh my God, it's us. RichOak Events is an organization that we founded out of the RichOak Alchemy Slam. And later, as we took over organization of both the Oakland Poetry Slam and the Berkeley Poetry Slam, we decided that our impact and our mission can be greater than the individual mission of each show. And instead, we can work together as a community of artists and a community of poets to create common good. So like, I'm gonna read our mission statement because that sounds a lot more official than I could ever make it seem. Um, Here at RichOak Events, we believe in reparations and liberation for Black people, Indigenous people, and Global South people. That this is possible if the people who are deemed oppressed, marginalized, or voiceless are not ignored or intentionally overlooked. We are a spoken word and literary arts organization based in the San Francisco Bay Area, dedicated to providing equitable platforms for self-expression to underserved and intentionally silenced communities, both through virtual media and in-person interactive engagements. Our top priority at RichOak Events is to cater a space to empower people of all genders, sexualities, ethnicities, abilities, and ages to tell their own stories in ways that will produce positive change on a local, national, and global level. That's right, we official. We got a mission statement. We got values and shit. But most importantly, we have a fundraising goal. We are trying to raise $1,000 to create, to continue the work that we do. I'm just gonna be honest, running one poetry event is like low-key expensive as hell. Let alone two, let alone three. $1,000 takes care of a lot of the costs that go into running the events. So anything that you donate goes a long way in making sure that we are able to sustainably create these platforms in a capitalistic, bullshit, racist, patriarchal society. So you can donate several ways. You can donate through PayPal at paypal.me/Berkeley Slam. You can donate through Cash App, #RichOak Events. or you can Venmo us at RichOak Slam. All of that information will be in the comment section. But I'm going to just like challenge y'all to begin with. I have a goal. I think we can raise $250 before our feature. So I'm gonna challenge people to help us reach that goal. Next for our rules for the poets, y'all got 5 to 6 very Black minutes to present your art in whatever fashion you see fit. I'm not gonna tell you what to do. I'm not gonna tell you what to say. That is on you. It is your voice, your platform, your work. We want you to share whatever you feel comfortable. That being said, we also want to be respectful. So just remember, like, no hate speech, no like, none of that fuck shit. I know everybody here. I know that's not going to be a problem. But just reminding people that this is, yes, a safe space, yes, a freedom of speech zone, but this is also a responsible and equitable space. And we do reserve the right and have the responsibility as organizers to hold people accountable for the communities that they harm with their words. So just be mindful. Cool. And on top of that, have fun. Show love. We want to hear y'all cheer. We want to hear you scream. We have a comment section in this Zoom. Feel free to use it. Show love. I don't know about you, but like some of the best moments in artist community have been around other Black artists that are just gassing each other up. So I highly encourage the gassing of the upping. But y'all are here to hear who will be reading tonight. We got a great list, and they will be reading in this order. We got Akeem Olaj, then we got Ebony Stewart, then we have Akeem Jamal, then we have our feature, Cece Jordan, and then ending our night, we have Kat, and then Damani. Lit. I think, and on top of that, we have another amazing lineup tomorrow. So definitely, keep in touch, keep in contact. But without further ado, we will get this G thing rolling. So on deck, we have Ebony Stewart, but give maximum love to the first poet coming up in the showcase. Give it up for Akeem Olaj.
Let's go, let's go.
Okay, champion.
How everyone doing? My name's Akeem Olaj. If you would like to support me in any kind of way, you could cash at me. My cash app is $Akeem Poetry. I have a new chapbook out. If you donate $15, I send it to you window shipping. The 2 poems I'm going to be sharing with you are included in that chapbook. So if you like the poems you hear, please support. Things I learned from watching Tiger King. 1, Americans are masters at turning their ignorance into profit, or we find our stupidity entertaining, or we like watching something so stupid it makes you feel smart, and everyone loves to feel smart too. Hubris is a slippery slope. It would turn someone who loves animals into a zookeeper without any training, a businessman or woman whose wealth building model is based off of getting work done by paid internship or slave wages accepted by people next to homelessness when people just want an honest rate to eat. 3, white people are crazy. 4, animals in the cage are always starving for food, attention, space, and people take their cries for freedom as a selfie opportunity. 5, People that truly love animals run the risk of having their love corrupted by the root of all evil. A dollar sign attached to fur would convince them to parade Stockholm Syndrome felines for novelty pictures, use animals as a ploy to have sex with women, as a reason to ignite feuds, as a reason to put out a hit. 6, Carol Baskin killed her husband. 7, sometimes a train wreck is just too entertaining to look away, regardless of who dies by accidental suicide, or who gets their arm torn off, or who says a dick joke at a funeral, or how many animals get shipped off to far off places in the middle of the night. 8, white people are crazy. 9, Carol Baskin. All right, Carol Baskin most definitely killed her husband. 10, Joe Exotic was definitely set up, convinced and tricked by his business partners in order to remove him from his business entirely. 11, I was entertained by all of his misfortune, and I'm not too sure what that says about me. So my chapbook is about all the things I've been doing throughout quarantine, all the emotions that's been bubbling up, whether it's appreciation, whether it's pain. This one is dedicated to all the Black women in my life that I have encountered, that have helped me through when no one else would. It's called In the Event of an Emergency.
We see you. Let's go.
In the event of an emergency, seek a Black woman. In all movies, she would be the go-to person to be Jesus. You could count on her to have a bulk supply of toilet paper during the apocalypse, a box of masks during a pandemic, hand sanitizer tucked in her purse when you dine out to eat. You would see her with only ramen noodles as rations, and she'll figure out how to serve jerk chicken, and everyone will wonder how she did it without ordering takeout. A Black woman might make you late, especially when you have an appointment, when in reality, a Black woman doesn't need to be prompt. She will show you that perfection takes time and work, and that's when you realize that a Black woman is the prompt. In my life, a Black woman was told that her friend was anemic, and while visiting family in Kenya, decided to bring home medicine in hopes to regulate their blood temperature. A Black woman spent her refund on books to ensure her little brother has a bed to sleep in lieu of taking care of herself. A Black woman will often sacrifice self for the betterment of the people that she loves. She often does this as soon as she wakes up without giving a second thought. A Black woman is the definition of thought. So if you have a question, ask a Black woman. If it's a stupid question, she'll let you know it's a stupid question, but she'll always have an answer. It's part of her magic that other women inject into their bodies and copy, but there's nothing like all her melanin that's heaven sent. Black women be the reason and inspiration for slave revolts, sit-ins, and Black Lives Matter events, knowing that if she dies in the line of fire, she'll get a hashtag at best or mention in Black death bereavement at worst. This is for Black women that feel like the label of Black women could be a curse. Know this world would not exist without Black women. Black people can't even start a revolution without the Black woman. We can't even go to the moon without running our numbers by a Black woman, because we know shit don't get done unless a Black woman has her hand in it. I fear the day where there's an emergency and Black women are no longer around to be Jesus. Even after we crucified her to save our own skin, we do this regardless of if we'll be called a Black Judas, for he still drunk the wine made of her blood, still will break the bread she's made out of her flesh before we send her to the cross without guilt, never acknowledging that we're the reason she's suffering a crucifixion.
Wow.
Woo, 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 woo.
That's how you start off a showcase.
Let's go.
Akeem, one more time, how can people support you?
I have a website called akeemolage.com. If you would like to send me an email, you could get my email and all my information from there. If you would like to book me, you could go to that website. You could contact me on Instagram, Akeem Olaj, Twitter, Akeem Olaj, Facebook, Akeem Olaj. Very easy to find, akeemolaj.com. I was just trying to keep it consistent. If you would like to purchase my chapbook, it's about 70 pages worth of poetry. Like I said, it's $15. You could cash app that to me. Please include your address so that way I could actually mail it to you. And that's about it.
Lit. Thank you so much. Yeah, whew. I don't know what to say other than support Akeem Olaj. I don't know what to say other than support Akeem Olaj. Like,
I appreciate that.
Wow. Oof. That Tiger King piece. I watched that shit show and I feel it. I could not look.
Yo, white gay men completely live in a different world than
I know.
It's crazy.
Like how can my black ass could never get away with
never in the history of niggerdom. Never.
Yeah, and just a fundraising update, we have $150 raised. Shout out to Fola for donating $100. That is amazing. We are already almost to our 250 mini goal. Like, wow, like we really stepping it up right now. Thank you to Sam Sachs for a $50 donation. You know, Bay Area legend, Bay Area OG, you know, supporting us. So like, shout out to them. But Reggie, what if I want to support RichOak on an ongoing monthly basis? I'm so glad you asked because we have a Patreon. And I just want to shout out, first of all, our lovely patrons that have been supporting us as regulars or above. So I want to shout out Renee Edmonds, Calla Lillian, Emily Chow. Thank you so much for your donations. I'd also like to shout out the folks that have been supporting our writing workshops. We have 7 writing workshops a month. And I'd like to shout out Nakia Williams and Jessica Kozakic for that. And last, but certainly not least, I'd like to shout out the folks that have signed up to support the Alan Bluford Center, one of the spaces that we curate events out of, specifically an anti-police brutality, anti-police, radically Black activist space. Thank you, Sarah O'Connell and Alice Grimm for donating that $100 a month. That goes directly to the Alan Bluford Center, keeping those operations running, especially during COVID. But yeah, if you would like to get involved and you would like to be one of the beautiful people that we shout out during our shows, you can donate patreon.com/RichOak Events. You can donate anywhere from $2 a month to $100 a month. Every little bit goes back into some aspect of running our show. We are currently doing 2 Patreon campaigns. The first one is almost complete. We are looking for 30 monthly donors to pledge their support so we can open up all of our events for free for performers. We're currently sitting at like 29, I believe. So we just need one more patron and we can make all of our events for free for performers. That's lit. Our second goal is if we get $1,500 in total donations a month, we can then open up all of our Oakland and Richmond events for free to everybody. So the more that you donate, the more sustainable and more accessible we can be to the community. So yes, keep those donations going. Coming in, visit our Patreon. But while you are filling out that lovely donation form, on deck we have Akeem Jamal, but give maximum love to the next person coming up to the showcase. Give it up for Ebony Stewart.
Hey.
Woo!
Thank you so much. Cool. I just want to give a quick shout out to RichOak Events, to Berkeley Slam, to Oakland Poetry Slam. Yo, and all the performers are going to be super dope. Thank you all for checking us out. Please, please, please stick around for the feature, The Revolutionary, The Soothsayer, and My Peoples. Cece Jordan is going to kill it for y'all. So I'm going to share one poem, and it's like on on the longer side, but it has a message, and it's basically where I am and where all of us are in actuality, just because of the simple fact that it's a pandemic outside, sugar. Okay, so this poem is actually after Lois Gallo. She has this poem called How We Forget, and this is my version, a spinoff of it, of How We Forget the COVID-19 Files. We forget that everyone is essential, that there are no non-essential people, that even when everything shuts down, someone is still working to make sure we all don't give up. I don't know how many front lines make up for the front, but there's a whole lot of bodies trying not to give up. We forget that trauma is not always resilient. We forgot that the sound of sirens is still the soundtrack to the hood, and if you get out, this is still what it sounds like to be Black in the hood. Even before anyone ever mentioned racial disparities on the news, everything has been dying to live here. Some of us have to try harder than others. Salam AC says, maybe this is God's work. I talk to God so much, sometimes I have to go ahead and answer myself. We forgot to be patient. We forgot that God is love. We forget how to love. We forgot to patiently love ourselves. We forget we call people with mental illnesses crazy if they talk to themselves. We forget there is no one way to pray. We forget that some people only know one way to pray. We forgot what prayer can do, but no poems like the back of our hands. We forget that some people have only ever had their hands, and a poem acted as a prayer to save us. We forgot how to be gentle and human. We forget that the loom of suffering does not mean survival every day. We forget how to do something but still manage to be believers. We remember fight or flight, but somehow we forget that some people freeze. My friend Buddy says, he's not afraid to die, he just doesn't want it to hurt. But sometimes I don't know who I am without it. I am only ever sure of what's constant. One of my friends died during all of this. In this moment in time, one day she was here and the next day she wasn't. There were only 10 people allowed at the burial service. I was one of the chosen. Standing, socially freezing. What I mean is, I've gotten good at being by myself. I just don't want to die alone. We forget that some people have only ever felt alone. We forgot we need each other. We forget we are all essential, that there are no non-essential people. Distance does not always make the heart grow fonder. We forgot about skin hunger. We forgot that some of us are aching to be touched. It's been X amount of days since I've gotten to see my partner's face. We forget how time works. We forgot that time doesn't measure how much you miss someone. All my body knows is that it needs its person. We forget that in this lifetime, there are people who have been waiting for what feels like an entire lifetime. We forgot that some people have savings. We forgot that some people had to deplete their entire savings and still have rent and school and bellies, and the bills come and don't stop coming. We forgot some people still haven't caught up. We know that capitalism is king and elitists have power, but we forget to be grateful. We forget that being grateful and being satisfied is not synonymous. We forget that some people have only ever known the struggle. When people say it's hard out here, some of us are not making it up. We know how to make a way. Real niggas make do, but it's like that one poet said, if you're silent about your pain, they'll kill you and say you enjoyed it. So maybe we forgot to stay ready for what's been trying to kill us. We forget that some people aren't safe at home, but still stay home because they can't leave. And I haven't forgotten about them. I just remembered I don't know what more to do. Sometimes I forget how good I got it. Other times I forget to cry. Mostly for me, crying has never solved anything. I forget that softness is not a weakness. And crying doesn't have to cleanse everything. I forgot that I needed a break. That if not for this, I would have just kept going despite myself. I forget I have needs, and one of them is being mindful of taking care of me. I forgot how to be present. And being present and honest should not leave me stuck. I forgot how to celebrate my own self even when no one can join me. I need to know who I am when no one is watching. Sometimes I think I wrote this poem because I know I'll never forget. Other times I know I wrote it because of how easily we forget. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Woo!
Everybody give maximum love to Ebony Stewart.
Yes.
What was that line? If you ignore your pain, you'll forget what kills you.
Yeah.
Stay out of my life.
Okay, well, look.
just out here testifying. Thank you so much, Ebony. How can people
Love you,
support you?
Reggie. How can people support me? Just do me a favor and just Google Ebony Stewart, EBONYSTEWART, Ebony Stewart. I'm not really hard to find, but more specifically, if you can reach out to me, if you have any homeschoolers or teachers that are homeschooling or just teachers, period. I have a curriculum that I just put out called Homegirlhood. And so it's for the youth, specifically 6th through 12th grade with Common Core standards and TEAC standards as well. So get at me.
I'm an academic advisor that is looking for summer curriculum, so I will hit you up.
That's me.
I will hit you up.
Thank you, dog.
Or just curriculum in general for workshops. So I will most definitely hit you up. But everybody else should hit you up as well. You heard what she said. Look up her name, Ebony Stewart. She said you'd be doing her a favor, but you be doing yourself a favor too. Because when I tell you Ebony Stewart's poetry has changed my perspective on a lot of things, you better believe it.
Let me turn this screen off. Y'all gonna make me cry.
Thank you so much, Ebony. Yeah, we're at $175. We're not that far off from our goal. I know somebody has already done it. I'm gonna challenge somebody else to do it again and donate another $100. I think that's a goal for one person to donate $100. I think that's a reasonable goal. I personally know that I spend more than $100 a month, a week. I'm not gonna bust myself out there. I'm just gonna say a month and keep it simple. I know I spend more than $100 a month on weed. So maybe buy an ounce for the hood. Roll that $100, into artist communities that like truly need it. The more money that we raise, the easier it will be to recover from the effects of COVID when and if and when this country gets its shit together. So definitely keep those donations coming in. Thank you to everyone who's donated so far. We want to keep that energy up. You get whatever energy you put out into the community. So I definitely encourage you to put some good energy, take some good energy out of your wallet and put it into the wallets of artists that really need it. That being said, speaking of artists, on deck, we got our feature, Cece Jordan, but give maximum love to the next poet coming up on the stage. Give it up for Akeem Jamal.
Woo!
Hey.
Hi, everyone. I too am excited to hear from Cece, and I love hearing all these poets who we old hoes know we've been listening to each other for a long time and seeing each other for a long time. So getting to hear everyone again, considering we don't have these opportunities like we usually do every year to get together, is really nice. So I, like Ebony, will read a poem. It's not, I think it's long, but I've been working on a book. Yes, I am 100% the old hoe. I've been working on a book called Post-Traumatic Hood Syndrome or Post-Traumatic Hood Disorder. And this is one of the poems. It's kind of autobiographical, but like poems. It's been done. Anyway, this is called The Bible I Have Written to Learn How to Love Myself. My heart, a ruined queen, springs life from its own death. The bloom of something else, my own traitorous life, attempting to correct all of the desecrated temple the body has become. Coffee dark as I am causes tremors, and I laugh at my own shaking, not out of fear, but just proof that I know how to be alive now. Being Black and queer makes me question if my suicidal thoughts are mine or just plants from some darker garden. There is a world full of people who would call my death a holiday. And if just out of stubbornness, I refuse to satisfy the glutton of bigots, the sun still shines on me. Despite the cloud above my head, nothing grows absent of at least a little rain, and I have a God's share of it. I rename my heart Agwe and praise the red tempest of my own body. Praise the boy who did not succeed at death so that we may have a chance in life. If I cannot pray to a deity that does not hate me, I will become my own God today. Praise the skin that triggers a white gun to desire to touch it so badly. Curse the stuttering bullets that have missed me. Bless every man's poor aim. Honor the arrogant God of my queerness, that I would fall in love with myself or the closest idea to it. Blasphemous closet that sook to make me a hanger. Glory to every orgasm that turned my limbs electric. A hallelujah on my body for being thin when it was. A hallelujah on my body for being fat while it is. A hallelujah on my body for not dying when it was damn well entitled to. Worship the mind of mine that keeps all of the boy I was and the man I am unchained. Worship that my body is both free and no one else's to take without the payment of your own. Red Queen bursting at the thought of us. No one gets to take me anymore. No one gets to take unless I say give. I show a crooked tooth devotion to my own smile, queer as I am. Adoration to the polymerization of mother and father that is mine and mine alone from this day forward. I do not have my mother's skin, nor my father's eyes, but mine, my own, mine alone. I own all of myself and no one else. Today, I own all of myself and no one else, not even my birthers can lay claim. They gave me the gift of myself, and today is the day I accept it. Whose am I if not mine first? I love my mother, but not enough to become her. Holy celebration that I discovered myself and he stayed until I learned to love him. Loving oneself is a learning process. Today, I reverse the curse and turn me into a consecrated earth, born from dirt, but I grew from it. This is the Bible I am writing to learn how to love myself better, to name the pain and the trauma. I may be a black man seen as the gun, but I am renaming every trigger, all that I have survived and will not have me. Reminder that I have made it through the worst of myself. I am not an answered prayer. I am who I have been praying to this whole time. This is mine. This is my life, and no one can take it, and no God or a king. It feels good to be this selfish. Thank you.
Yeah, lit. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Hold on. And let the churches say amen. Like, I don't think I was ready for scripture, you know. I would have come here with an open spirit. Come from a place of like humbleness and devotion.
That's making me blush, and it's hard because no one can see it. Really?
Thank you.
Black man problems. Thank you all. Thank you.
How can we support you, Akeem?
You can support me if you aren't sending very good bras. You can support me by my Cash App is right there if you want to send a bitch money, or you can go to my Instagram and follow that, because I do post poetic works there, small stuff. You can also come to my poetry slam that happens on Saturdays. It's called Listen. It is a queer slam event.
It is? Who's involved? Like, who's slamming this weekend?
Oh, a bunch of people, but particularly this one person named Reggie. I think Reggie Ed M Reg 4 is their Cash App. EDMREG 4. I think that's the person. You're slamming.
Oh wow. Wow. I don't know who Reggie is, but they sound beautiful. You should definitely support Akeem, support the Listen Slam. It's honestly really lit. It's really lit.
Yeah,
I love it. So you should definitely check it out. Drop some money in that young Cash App that's probably in the comment section. If it's not, it's going to be. But thank you so much, Akeem.
Support me by supporting RichOak. Support Black art. Thank you.
Thank you. And speaking of supporting Black art, we have a new patron. Thank you so much, Lydia. Welcome to the RichOak family. And that means we are one step closer to having free events. We are sitting at 29 patrons. I was wrong earlier. I thought we had 29 already. We actually had 28. Not only can I not read, I also it can't count. I don't know why they put me in charge of a poetry slam, because that's all it is reading and counting. Oh, lit. Nice. We have reached the time of our night where we bring on the feature. Our feature tonight is Cece Jordan. I just before I read this bio, I personally just want to say some personal stuff. The moment I met Cece, I rocked with her. Just the energy that she brings into the space, the intentionality in which she interacts with people is both forces you to feel loved and also forces you to be accountable. Because you meet someone like Cece and then they're not gonna play on no bullshit. So I appreciate the way that Cece has consistently held it down, whether in Texas, whether in the Bay, whether abroad, just held it down for real ass liberation tactics. But enough about what I gotta say. I'm gonna read this bio because it is also Cecilia Jordan believes that true activism lies in the hopes of revolutionary forms of reasoning by the youth, a set of thinking tools to reimagine a more just and peaceful society. She relocated to the Bay from Austin, Texas in 2015 to continue her work as a restorative justice practitioner in schools and communities. In Austin, she taught elementary and middle school students how to think critically by engaging her school community in social and emotional learning and restorative justice practices, which extended far beyond the walls of the school building. Cecilia leverages her pedagogy to address the atrocities of institutional violence and socioeconomic traumas that are ever present in Oakland in particular, and in contemporary American society more broadly. She has been a history teacher at Oakland's Ralph Bunche Continuations High School and is currently a restorative practices coordinator for Catholic Charities East Bay at Roots International in East Oakland. An archivist and 2016 Team Oakland Grand Slam champion. Excuse me, she ran this mug. She said, that slam, mine. That title, mine. Cecilia ranked 15th at the 2017 Women of the World Poetry Slam. I don't know much about how many people sign up, but I do know it's way more than 17, or way more than 15, my bad. And 5th at the 2017 National Poetry Slam as a member of the Root Slam team. I remember that year. That was a scary year for Slam. Oh my goodness. Cecilia uniquely uses poetry and music as two primary forms of visual and performance art to practice healing justice as she simultaneously works to dismantle the intersectional tangling that systemic oppression renders within groups of people, inside institutions, and beyond. As a member of Circle's Film Impact Team, she facilitates community trainings and is currently working towards her Master of Educational Leadership degree at the University of San Francisco Transformational School Leadership Program. That's a lot. but it's because people who are real ass community workers and do the groundwork are oftentimes doing a lot.
That's right.
And honestly, if you see somebody in the community doing community work and they ain't got a resume this long, you might want to think about it. But without further ado, I want everybody to give maximum love, more than maximum, like 1,000% love to our feature for the night, Cece Jordan.
Super honored to be in this space. Thank y'all so much. A lot has happened since that bio, even, and I'm hearing it. I'm like, man, I need to update that. I got my master's, and right around that time, our school closed. I got blackballed from the district, and I have just, you know, I come from the South, and my grandmother, we've often heard like God makes a way if you don't make the way. And so I am realigning and trying to find my purpose. It's been a minute since I've done poetry. This is all new things that I wrote through the experience of being in a master's program. It's all really, I've just been trying to understand what is the roots of my radicalism, because it's hella angry and it's like close to dead. And I feel like now more than ever that's relevant, is like to be Black is to be very close to death always. And so yeah, and shout out to Ebony. Part of the reason I became a poet, it's been a long time since I asked her after the MLK feature, how the hell do you write about trauma in public? And I've only hoped to be that brave one day. So I'm super honored that she's here. And this is my attempt at telling my story. So yeah, I got some short ones, some long ones. And yeah, thank y'all. So. And these are unedited, uncut, not they need work. So y'all be graceful with me. Yeah. On the days I want to shred myself to pieces, flashbacks from the vicarious trauma interrupts thoughts like commercials. Take control, wet the backwood, mix the street shit with the expensive shit, roll up. This is how I afford depression. Risk cancer, death by lungs or heart, all the same at this point. Dumb refuse the Lexapro, the Klonopins, the Projac, ain't taking no manufactured peace. This body is birthed in chaos, built for world war, work in chaos. I learned to love in chaos. I'm still most calm in chaos. Except they past and they demons. Flashback. Captain Commander with the perfect jawline. Remember his daddy hit his mama. Sister killed her husband. That's why little Reggie lived with y'all. Remember, it ain't about you when he flings your 7-year-old body through the air. The bruises etched across your sister's backside. It ain't about you. Maybe you can love this away. It ain't mama's fault. Her pain vibrates through your anxious body, and it ain't her fault. She ain't strong. Nobody ever loved her. Who gonna love us? Never expect nothing from no one. Can't no real pops, can't no pops protect you from a penitentiary. He a vault of broken promises. Don't let no one in or out. That man's more puppet than real man, more man's puppet than real man. Does that make me puppet or person? Who's pulling my strings anyway? Memories unravel into formless quilts of hopelessness. This be my unsafe baby blanket. Never been attached to expectations nor people. Disappointment hole don't go no deeper. Longing for a healing this body can ground itself in. I done tried the therapy, the meditation, the self-help books, the reflection, hobbies don't matter. The shit's in my programming, how to untrick my brain into loving itself. Speak the truth even if it means solitude. Put boundaries that can't be hopped in high times. Cry even when there will be no apologies or empathy. Reclaim this abused body. Remain my confused child. Be here, present, in this moment. When I ask the therapist, does it get better? People and trauma, she say little by little, piece by piece. It sounds like more like smoking weed than taking their drugs, and I take the metaphor as implicit permission. Don't tell her I'm a pothead, everyone got vices. Way I see it, if my only ones is smoking weed and talking shit to myself, I done broke some generational traps. I ain't trapping, the educated homies say, given my upbringing, I'm an anomaly. I laugh, exhale, and tell them it's the weed. Yeah, the other thing that Oakland has given me brave enough to do is I come from a place where respectability politics are everything. I come from a Southern Black Kojic family, so learning to define myself has been difficult, and Oakland was the first place that I had like visual representation of what I could be like, or who I could be, or what I could say or not say, right? I don't have to hide the fact that I don't have to hide my identity and compartmentalize myself into boxes of yeah. And so I'm really grateful for Oakland for that. So this next piece is yeah, a little bit more. Southern 80s babies. In the Bible Belt, we hop revivals. We saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost of spirits whose names were exercised from our tongues. Obedience to the omnipotent survival, we discipline. Hands up, we surrender. Black holy rollers whip train to avoid hellfire. Somehow, we still haunted by the curses. They whisper in generational bipolar, anxiety, personality disorders, checkbox for the Black consciousness don't fit in white man's religious perfect existence. If the sins of the father pass to the son, does that make me damned at birth? Stained and stared down, covered in sin's red paint. Round these parts, people shame your human to condemn your soul. At 7, I knew hell was not a place of future condemnation, but an ever-present switch or belt. Hell ordered up and served by men who called white gods Hell ordered and served by men who called white God's name, make them man God of household, man gods tear away innocence with limitless discipline, skip church on Sundays. They drink Milwaukee's best and Jack Daniels till they smile themselves to sleep in shit talking. I conclude there is no turning cheeks to unspared rods for me. All I know, I am a sinner. I find too much comfort in plotting this man's demise. Weaponized by push-ups, wall sits, arms out, books in hand, scream it until you never forget it. Yes, sir, say it again. Yes, sir, I can't hear you. Yes, sir, hands up, praise him. Hands up, I'm sorry. Hands up, don't shoot. I grow tired of these sacrifices. I throw my hands up at 9 when the neighbor boy convinces me baths are bad, and if you die before 12, it's an automatic pass into heaven. I begin showering instead of sitting in my own dirt, plotting my clean exit from a fire that never seems to settle. See, these generational curses wrap around my throat, and to this day, it always feels like my neck could be slit at any moment. At 10, on the top bunk, combing hair into Barbie hair, I share my escape plan with my favorite cousin. She laughed. You silly. If you kill yourself, it's an automatic pass to hell, dummy. The bricks of sin's broken foundation build a home on my chest. And some days I still wonder which hell is worse. Thank y'all. Yeah, so you leave a place thinking I'm gonna be queer when I go to college. And that's gonna be, I'll be able to come out, but then there's it's fucked up that for us, you have to get out to come out sometimes. Then sometimes getting out puts you in a completely different environment away from the hood that you have no conceptualization for this other fucking world. And so, yeah. Getting out. Guard guts a paraphernalia charge, dump them with the stems. Chella got locked up and put on papers for less. Grabbed them hoes by the collars and tossed, but never knock a bee out. Got lucky that one time in the club parking lot, shit won't happen again. Plan on being stopped. Pigs pull pistols if you grab for your purse without permission, never move without permission. Always have Ozium and a pack of clothes cross states to cover the smell. Never smoke and drive with more than you can swallow or stuff up your na-na. No pipes. caught up with a bag and white frat boys in Memphis PD parked in residential neighborhood, gambling with their trust funds, and you -10 in the bank. That shit can't happen again. They protected by private college policies and they $342 million endowment. You would check box on affirmative action. They'd carve you pawn if they could, dare you learn. Freedom be more privileged than right. You will never be them. You want to stay out, never smoke on their privilege, never sell to them either. Pops got busted by the white snitch, young bud out of White House, even the name and birthplace rang op. Keep your head up, peep game. People will come for you. And when they do, go crazy on a motherfucker, just like Henry taught you. There will be spiritual surrogate fathers and brothers. They will both heal and hurt you. Men of alcohol, salt, blood, and cocaine. Your best friend will pimp you out for her own high. And your guilt for the scholarship will supersede your pride. And when she does cocaine with your sister, you learn love and loyalty means taking space. You learn you need to learn to fly. Lessons learned in home translate to school. Don't be too trusting. No new friends. When white kids tell your associate, no, I do not have your back. Don't tell me shit. Fuck street wolves. When you walk among the man, they will get off for attempted murder. Rapists will get Teach for America. They will reject your radical politic, nerd naivete. Never forget there are no escalators to empires for Black kids with 2.5 GPAs. You must perform. You're more token than human. You will be oral target practice for their conservative rhetoric, present logical fallacies to justify your oppression, learn to speak white speak better than white people speak white speak, and you realize too late it ain't about intellect, but power. Always been about power. At home, in their institutions, they short circuit your patience, then gaslight your trauma. Do the cracker dance. They will always call you a nigga. And when you try to go back after getting out, your homies will always call you a bitch. Nerd ass. Your sacrifice is silly, changing bitch ass politicians. You try to explain the microaggressions, ashamed of your weakness. Couldn't be me. I smoke a blunt, cut a hoe. Maybe they right. No eloquent tongue or perfect choices will change the fact you a nigga forever. There is no getting out of a skin. Navigating all the isms is never ending, leaving me thinking some days ignorance was bliss. Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you. Y'all Zoom is so awkward. But thank y'all. Yeah, and so when you come from a place and then you see massive amounts of wealth, it puts you in a space, and then you become a teacher, and then you're like, I got out, I got privilege. But I think somewhere in there, us Black millennials stop talking about healing. And I think that's why there's such a gap between artists and poets and movement folks and organizers and teachers. Is like, artists, we have to heal because we might just die. We can't reproduce the art, right? Our productivity outside of capitalism is dependent on our ability to heal. That's not necessarily the case with everybody else. And so you go in as a teacher, and sometimes ashamed at my earlier work as a poet, because I feel like I was looking at here what I didn't know how to conceptualize here, which I still don't think I'm at, right? I'm still not there. And so, yeah. And so the rest of this, I'm gonna end it with something. I got a couple of pieces that are just funny pieces of just me coming home, dealing with white teachers, being hella annoyed. Because where I come from, like, bro, we gotta fight. Because either we gotta fight or get it over with and heal from that fight, or I can't fuck with you no more. You gotta be dead in my mind or dead actually, or like, there is no gray for me. And I really struggle with that when you work with teachers, because it's a different space where we are all cut from a different cloth. And so, yeah. Way I see it, colonizing ass motherfuckers like to conquer, objectify, and kill spirits, so they try to energetically implant misery chips in our DNA. The violence and denial of humanity created a great schism. Some call it shame, the contradiction of darkness, that pain is something to be avoided, that you should somehow avoid it, that it's somehow your fault if you don't avoid it, and if you're in it, you're somehow attracted to it, and if you attracted it, you deserve it. Boom, Christian missions. Made us think this internal conflict ordained by God himself, but ain't that the history of the church? An entity to buffer the poor from the powerful, justify oppression, conquerors raid in the name of dogma, and ain't that what Western history taught us? Now Western doctors want to call this schism in the body trauma. Nah, bitch, these psychological spiritual war wounds. And y'all motherfuckers keep staggering before we can heal, and we keep coming back. Because we were never dead. We don't die. We didn't die, ain't dead yet. Look death in the eyes and said, not today, bitch, and ain't that fucking trauma? Surviving a bunch of bullshit for generations at the hands of some at the hands of some childish ass, insecure, oppressive motherfuckers who ain't never learned to share and still feel unworthy enough to steal everything? There, sitting on millions, watching. I'm about to show you fucking trauma. Y'all won't survive the earth's changes, and we will, because our bodies will be so used to the trauma.
Yes!
Yeah, another one on that same tip, pissed off after work. An alternative narrative to my mental health struggles. Maybe they ain't my trauma. How many fucking ways we gotta re-theorize niggas rebelling? Maybe people of the global majority ain't traumatized, just tired of being colonized. There's a difference. White boys pimping out futures in locked rooms on hilltops, playing poker with the resources, sniffing coke off their underage, unconsenting sex workers. And we all supposed to be workers, but can one really consent to something their mind has been controlled to think? Consent to low wages, slow grinds, rotten boots, own all the leather shops and drill yards. We broken, so we break our youth. Mold them to the self-hatred needed to produce my own slavery to this system, yet we still feel that which is yet to be named in any other way, that we could actually fight for change. And when you say trauma, it somehow implies I'm fucked up with no name perpetrator. These slavers have faces. These responses be more weapon than trigger. Generation of hiding education, language, religion, freed the body, colonized the minds. I got guns dug deep in my cortisol levels. I'd be more rebel than settle. If we knew better, we'd do better, but the drugs offer quick rich. And the pills pain the distraction. The sentence they sent it put periods on families, and post-second stint in the pen, Pops teaches me this. Nicaraguan cocaine becomes CIA's chemical weapon on rebels from Black Panthers to Bloods. California crack across nations, siphon the cash to fund right-wing dictators, Iran-Contra scandal. Real shit never stays in the media long, and the real Freeway Rick Ross gets life for conspiracy, then a rapper steals his name. And ain't that still the same? Ain't daddy just a drop in the dime bag of prison time for innovators? Hueys pimped into tricking out their own communities. Consciousness divided and conquered. I'm alive. I'm alert. Learning, aware, violence birthed me, but it will not be my truth. I scream truth running down moving trains. I ain't crazy, just justifiably tired of our stories being silenced and renamed by Eurocentric medicals who could never know this depth. Our presence be the prayers of 7 generations. They know that. We yelled reparations and they fed us crack. Stupid asses never get it. Despite all they untraceable chemical warfare of manufactured poverty turned trauma, we always gonna fuck automatic dopamine oxytocin rush. So we stay celebrating and populating what they so intent on destroying. They stay OCD brushing their teeth pre-sex, and ain't that a miserable fucking existence? Yeah, that's to the teacher who said she felt so bad for me for having so much trauma. She felt so bad for the kids. And she told me her family, they didn't hug each other ever and say, I love you. And that she brushed her teeth before sex. And that was the precursor. And I was like, wait, you don't feel as a person. And you feel sorry for me and my trauma, bruh. You don't even, I told her that's miserable. And so that was to her, because those are the type of people sometimes interacting with our young people. And so I feel really naked. So I'm gonna close it out now. With I wrote this piece. I'm like, how do I close this out? I guess the piece and what I'm like trying to come together with is I really do feel like those of us most impacted by oppression are the ones that are gonna lead the liberation, which is why I love the RichOak Slam space so much, because like Ebony put me on, Richmond puts each other on. And I really appreciate that they've brought that culture to Oakland, because I feel like the impacts of gentrification are different, and this is really an opportunity. And that's what I love about the RichOak Slam, is it's a direct fight against that, and it's a model of putting artists on and not a model of competition. And I love y'all for that. And I just stay on Facebook just because of Reggie. Reggie keeps me alive in their posts. They are so funny. They are so funny. And like from a theoretical perspective, I could write a whole curriculum on your post, fam. Like I could just like go and do lesson plans on your post and your presence on Facebook. So thank y'all for that. I'm gonna close it out with an older piece. And this is called Parable of a Clapback, or a future where Black people chill and heal and the rest of y'all fight. So
Preach it.
Come on, Parable of a Clapback.
Yeah.
Take the time, Pastor, take the time.
Yes, let me get it pulled up here.
Tabernacle.
Generations from now, they'll speak our stories. Tell of the days when darkness cracked heaven open and cried forgiveness. Our great, 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 great grandchildren will reconstruct trauma so tapped into impact, walking with their third eyes open and their root grounded in a peace this tongue cannot yet wrap around. We are trapped in a matrix of oppression, but they'll say the uprising started right here of all places. Reggie and them went door to door mobilizing masses, while intellectuals in search for their Chomsky-like promise went church pew to coffee bar, disrupting. Republicans went crazy. Their children's silver spoon tongues turned dirty shovels and dug up white supremacy. Accountability annihilated every Confederate statue and drug law policy. Protest became the new community. From the helicopter's aerial shots, it looked like an eyeball, a white blur of allies surrounding a collective of melanated peoples twerking and doing La Punta on the Capitol. The Cherokee built sweat lodges alongside the Mexica. Elders held circles and opened ancient glands, pain released. Black and brown bodies glowed with the tint of healing gold, protected by all the homies we buried too young. Month after month, white guards switched shifts. Quiet cried tears of the oppression of being the oppressor, meditated, laid hands. They called it Stonehenge Resistance. Their parents wept, stopped spending. Why would they give up picket fence promises for joy? For the merry drum and cumbia and the 808 and hip hop, for Guatemaltecos and Yemeni refugees, we prayed in every religion. We learned Yoruba and Nawal, broke the trap of Ebonics, spoke love in our mother tongues, Achilles' heels, addictions, sprouted wings in redemptions. We outgrew the violence of systemic oppression and anchored spirits could finally fly. We wrote stories in tongues once split, now mended with the starch of the plátano. See, once the strike schools put textbooks to fire and the youth staged massive commissions of truth, politicians exposed taggers and rappers, dropped comic book freedom fighter manuals, called them from self-defense to self-care. The school to prison pipeline had fertilized gardens of ethical rebellion. Even the smallest towns felt the vibration. Imagine country white kids armed head to toe in daddy's camo and kneeling into atonement. Rumor has it a collective of Ivy League educators were intent on radicalizing white kids on the margins, and they endured the mace, fire hose, rubber bullets, and riot shields. Many died within the hope in the next generation they'd reincarnate into something more healed. Less white guilt and more white savior complex realigned with Mother Earth's pull, connected to ancestors. They sang Celtic songs of matriarchy, and I don't know what else they did, but I heard some of them finally got some rhythm too. And it spread faster than the plague. Every corner boy belted Negro spirituals and practiced indigenous rituals like love could replace pistol play. Reorganized American society to heal from the all too frequent nightmares. It was not easy. We will be free finally. When privilege proactively unzips comfort and tries on disobedience, it will not be easy. We must be willing to live for the descendants that will inherit our complacency in droughts and acid rain. They are waiting on us.
Wow.
Oh, so much.
So often.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So I don't know about you, but if like you went to church today, if I know I ain't stepped foot in a church in like 5 years, and then today. So thank you for dragging my ass to church. My mother would be very, very happy with the results of this. How can folks support you further?
Yeah, you can, my Venmo's on there. You can follow me on Instagram. I'm not a very good, or I haven't focused on myself as an artist very well. But Jorka88. Also, I do restorative circles. We do community healing work. And one way I think that folks can like support the entire ecosphere is like, please do your individual healing work, because the rest of us, like, it's exhausting to hold folks accountable all the time. And like, I've come to the conclusion I can really only hold myself accountable at times. And for me, that's always a struggle, because as a Black woman, and you posted this the other day, Reggie, like too often who we are, our entire value is based on our ability to heal others, period. And like, that's the whole thing about, I feel like because of that, we don't get to do our own healing sometimes, because I'm constantly having to like speak up when something's fucked up for the whole world, because don't nobody say shit. And so Black people and Black women, we just gotta say everything. And so like, please, like if you wanna support me and the whole ecosphere of the world, like do your healing work. And I know that sounds like a really shitty thing, like weird thing, but like if you could just like, for real, if something resonated with you, like, please just prioritize your healing, because I did it for a really, really long time, and that caught up with me. And I feel like the only way that those radical reimaginings can happen is if we do our fucking healing work for our babies, for our youth, so that we can model that, because they're not gonna listen to us, because right now, we look like we ain't shit. So yes, please prioritize your healing for the ecosphere of the entire world, because it really makes a difference, because when you walk differently, other people interact with you differently. So yeah, that's my piece. That's my last piece. Sorry, love y'all. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you for leaving that off on that note. Yeah, definitely been like having a lot of conversations about community accountability and who's like in charge of that. And oftentimes it falls to queer Black women, queer Black femmes to kind of pick up the pieces of everybody else's mess. So remember, like, yes, your personal healing is for the betterment of the community, because toxic internal structures manifest as toxic external structures. You cannot be a positive force in the community if you are not a positive force within your own personal life. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Thank you so much. Support Cece if she took you to church, definitely support Cece. And speaking of church, I'm just going to remind you that it's time to collect tithes and offerings today. We are doing a fundraiser for RichOak Events, our organization that puts on the Oakland Slam, the Berkeley Slam, and the Alchemy open mic. We have been doing a series of fundraisers for the last 2 months almost for Black organizations. Because mostly because I see a lot of people who are very willing to say Black Lives Matter, but there's no like there wasn't like huge community actions from a lot of these organizations that are saying Black Lives Matter. They're just saying Black Lives Matter and they're not giving to Black people. So of course it is the Black people and the Black organizations that have to do the organizing work for ourselves. But some of the organizations that we have supported were the Bay Area Anti-Repression Fund. We raised $1,800 for them. We raised $2,200 in conjunction with Greetings from Queer Mountain for the Okra Project. We raised $1,000 for the Afro Urban Society, almost $1,000 for Moms for Housing, $1,200 for the Girls, and $690 for the Anti-Police Terror Project. So we've raised a total of almost $8,000, $7,973 over the last 7 weeks now for local and national organizations that are doing really important work within Black communities, specifically surrounding Black queer folks and Black women, and Black trans people, because if we are not saving the most marginalized people in our community, then we are not saving our community. We are just saving who we believe deserves our community. And that's not liberation, that's just oppression wrapped up in Black liberation politics and covered in shit. So remember, donate to all Black people. You know, it's not just Black Lives Matter, it's all Black Lives Matter. That being said, we are still fundraising, still keep those donations coming in. You can donate several ways through PayPal, paypal.me/Berkeley Slam, Cash App at hashtag RichOak Events, and through Venmo at RichOak Slam. You can also donate through Patreon, patreon.com/RichOak Events. Shout out to Dan Fang for donating $100. We are now up to $275, right where I expected us to be at this time. Look at that. So keep those donations rolling in. I'm gonna challenge somebody else out there to match Dan Fang's donation. You know, really, the more that you give, the more that we are able to do within this community, because unfortunately it costs money to do shit. And especially when we come back, it's gonna be more expensive to run these events because the venues, the people, the communities that we're working with have been highly impacted by coronavirus. So it's really important that we set ourselves up and set our communities up to be stable and sustainable after quarantine. That being said, we got 2 more artists. So I'm gonna challenge people to make your donations now because we are almost finished for tonight. So on deck, we have Damani, but give maximum love to the next artist coming up in the showcase. Give it up for Kat.
Hey y'all, what's up? I'm Kat. You guys can tap into, I guess I don't even want to promote my Instagram, Jesus. You could tap into my IG if you want to support. Also my Cash App is the same as my IG, just with a $sign before. Working on a couple of projects, which I'll explain after. And now to the poetry. The first piece is called Unzip Me. And honestly, following Cece, I don't even think I need to explain anything because it was all said. I feel so healed after this, and I'm gonna sleep good tonight before I go see these kids tomorrow. Okay, so This piece is called Unzip Me. If they painted her beautiful Black face as a form of resistance, I'd probably know I was in my heaven, and that's a fuck you to Rushmore, conjuring faces of substance to say that no one is above this. Our power, white father, our father who art in heaven, we dark-eyed, dark soul, dark love, dark warm will never trust you. And you can't do shit about it but watch your American blood baby burn, that beautiful baby whom would always be alien to you, always be daughter to our mother, always be damned if your fatherhood. God, why did you make me like this? Without camouflage, without protections, veins traceable underneath so you can plot from which way I bleed next time you decide to throw me in the ring. Night fight with concise dreams. Sometimes I wanted to unzip this skin. Our depression blended into the silence, 4 chained ankles linked in on white violence, only one of us was drowning. I call her Black woman, you call her bae. Hyperventilating behind closed doors, my first was as painful as my last, and I admit, I will love again. I wished I could unzip this skin, step out for just a moment to experience the pink matter, nothing in my bag but a zip and writing paper, but somehow I found myself unwound, left in the margin. She has to do the work herself. If you don't want it that bad, then nobody else. Throwing rape into the ocean, chanting mantras, making potions. Now I'm a witch, that's Vodun, and you will never understand the links by which we were bound. They train bloodhounds to find 2 escapists, but I refuse to be brought back as sure as Harriet is Black. If they painted her beautiful face as a form of resistance, I probably know I was in my heaven. That's Unzip Me. All right, the next piece. The next piece is titled How Much for Type O. Slight background on this one. It's about being in the hospital, particularly during this time. In the gratitude circle, they asked me, what did you give up this year? I gave up kisses for solidarity's tears, stooped next to a trick sign that says, fix your trauma here. Carrying skeletons in a shoebox, evidence for only the shrink if it's unclear, malice pressed to her office door with ears fixed towards 3rd gear. I said, hey, Black man, don't you see me standing here? I know you saw me in line. This is a soul drive-through for the 1,000th time, and for the love of God, do not cut my shine. Yes, I'll show you the menu, but you have to get behind me. I kept leaving the hospital with a prescription for rat poison. I kept seeing death behind my eyelids when I slept. I kept looking. I kept looking at the stars on sleepless nights. I kept trading pain for reality like a Swahili merchant trading Black bodies for cowrie shells, trying to make myself smile while dousing wedding bells and gasoline. I'm tired of being asked, Kat, my dear, what do you mean? I kept cheesing in front of the camera while my monsters clawed their way up my back. Turn around and take a picture, not a lick nor a scratch. I think we'll pay you $1,200 for this pretty little nigger girl, as a matter of fact. And that is How Much for Typo. Thank you.
I said it in the chat, but I'll say it again. In between each line, I was trying to catch my breath on the last line, but you just kept hitting with those lines. And like, whoo. Thank you. Once again, how can we support you?
Okay, so number one is to know that the Black folks in California brought me my piece. So it ain't no promo for me, but the Bay Area brought me my piece. And if you're looking for some sort of culture that is going to love you wholeheartedly, that's where you'll find it. Do not gentrify. Do not, please. But tap into these poets, feed into their lives. I'm holding an event also in Chicago, which is the place that gave me my words. So the event is called Poetry and Chill. Y'all can follow at Poetry in, like the letter, and then chill. We'll be holding like donations and different things like that soon. There's verbiage on what the show is. We're holding auditions. So that would be cool. And of course, any donations that y'all send me are going to go right into my show because I'm serious about this. But that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I should have known that she was from Chicago within bars. You can't no writers. You just can't.
Okay. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Definitely support Kat. Support, is it Poetry and Chill, right?
Yes, I'm like all shooken now, so I'm like trying to hop off real quick. But yes, it's poetry and then the letter N, no little whatever that comma whatever. I can't even do it right now. And chill. So yeah,
Okay.
I'll drop it in the chat too.
Poetry and Chill, definitely support not just, you know, our Black space, but the spaces that are being curated by other Black artists. Our movement in supporting Black artists it's not enough if it's just local. It needs to be a national, it needs to be a regional, it needs to be a global movement of supporting and uplifting Black artists, Black organizers, Black professionals, anybody who you would be interacting with and they just so happen to be Black. Is important for the upliftment of that movement to be larger than this. So thank you so much for letting us know about your event. I would also like to thank some new donors, Marie Jansen and Daria Brashear, for donating $50 each. We are now up to $375. Thank you so much. We are getting there. We will get there with your support. And to bring us home tonight, I would like to introduce the defender of Oakland, our last performer of the night. Give it up for Damani.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, how are y'all? So yeah, I have two short poems for y'all, but the first one, well, firstly, thank you for having me. If you haven't already and you have the means, please support like RichOak Events. Like Reggie mentioned at the very start of this event, yeah, running one event is difficult. Running 3 or 4 is, yeah, it's draining. And they pull it off even during a quarantine. So yes, let's get that out the way. So this first poem, I think like during this quarantine time, there have been a lot of like mutual aid funds popping up. And some of the people who are most at risk or who are suffering from just government neglect have been like Black trans women, Black trans folk in general, people who don't necessarily fall into a certain gender category. And so I wrote this poem for them. So this is called Case Study and Disrespecting Gender. A moment of silence, please, for Black trans women and Black gender fuckers. Dana Martin was to apple, as Jaslyn Ware was to lime, as Ashanti Carmen was to orange, as Claire Legato was to lemon, as Malaysia Booker was to mango, as Michelle Tamika Washington was to kiwi, as Paris Cameron was to watermelon. Show me skin that won't open with a blade and I'll show you a violence not given at birth. Chanel Lindsay, Johanna Medina Leon, Chanel Skurlock, Zoe Spears, Denali Berry Stuckey, Tracy Single, Kiki Fontroy, Pebbles Ladime Doe, Bailey Reeves, B Love. Yeah, I'd like to remember a history not preached in blood, but this is not the space, the time to forget. I make memorial. I mourn closer to gender or lack. Boy with no gender holds vigil and one person shows up. Gender fucker. Do you want to be remembered as fruit or the people? I offer a white space in which we do not die. Thank you. And so my last poem for you all, again, in the middle of well, I think a lot of us have just known there's just fuckery going on, but I think certain conditions have just exposed a lot for different folks during this time. And so something that has been coming up for me a lot is this idea of like breaking a marriage with the government. And so this next poem is a weird scenario about that. So this is called Marriage Ending in Copper. I keep having this dream where I marry someone who knows too much about prisons. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today in honor of the most profitable of unions between theorists and the people they've never seen. I will say, I am attracted to things that call me dangerous and sexy, but mean exotic like a plantation wedding. I knew it was love at first sight when you called me a subject without calling me a subject. I woke up just before dawn screaming, and there you were, watching me and all of my insecurities, my uncertainty, my protest fatigue, my spiderweb skin washing away. You in your lab coat, you will say, I have a theory for this. What would Freud say about someone wanting to marry a thing just for its ability to diagnose all the bad, like some neglectful government that actually calls me back? But whatever. So I accept this holy union and place a copper ring on his forefather. 2 months into marriage and my new partner has widowed himself. He hides my body in a Twitter thread and watches the retweets. In some universe, I sign a treaty with my murderer. Promise I'll stop fracking my graveyard for reasons to gore his lineage. I promised I won't haunt the home he stole from me, and he promises there won't be a womb waiting with a blood twin once we abolish the police. I promised, and if my memory is serving me correctly, I could hear the wind double cross behind his back like DNA strands around Lady Liberty's copper neck. Those copper fingers around her now flamingo neck, my scorched caramel, her ebony shine, my moth camouflaged, bloodied and synonym, her cardboard C-sectioning into my delivery. They say, while approaching death, you see a bright light. I see an open ocean and a landmass free of violence. Ideally, in this new world, I will be made of oxygen, inherently soft and valuable, but when assaulted, will spread vengeance like a rumor. I bump into my ex-lover turned widow turned government proxy. I say, while you were gone, I learned to make weapons from our wedding band. I leave you at the altar. I just don't think you'll survive the race war. Thank you.
What? Hold on. Thank you so much, Damani. You just dropped that mic so casually. Like, I'm just gonna spit nothing but bars and then like peace out so casually. Thank you. How can people support you outside of listening to your art?
I have an Instagram if y'all would like to follow. At the moment, I just repost other people's things. But yes, so I have an Instagram, Damani Writes, DMANIWRITES. Very original, I know. And then my Cash App is my name, $ Damani Thomas.
Thank you so much, Damani. Lit. We have reached the end of our showcase. Thank you so much to Cece, to Damani, to Kat, to Akeem, Jamal, Akeem, Alaj, and Ebony, and every single person who donated tonight. Y'all are all amazing in your own way. This has been a beautiful night. Like, shit, my day was a shit show. I needed to be around Black people for healing. So thank you so much on a personal level to everybody who showed up and performed today. Lit. So we are going to, the show is over, but our fundraiser is not. We are going to keep our fundraising channels open because we have another event tomorrow, as well as we'll keep them open throughout the week. So if you couldn't donate today, that's okay. You know, you might be able to donate later, or you might know somebody who could donate. So, you know, send them our post, let them know how they can get involved. Just an update, we raised $365 today. And we got one new patron. Thank you so much to everyone who donated. You know, $375, my bad. $375 in one new patron. I don't know about you, but that warms my heart. Thank you so much for everyone, the support that you've given. Check out each and every individual poet that came up tonight. Make sure you check out the other organizations we've been fundraising for. And we will see you tomorrow for the Berkeley Slam's Black Artist Showcase and Fundraiser for RichOak Events. I've been Reggie, your host, and we will see you tomorrow.